Welcome back to another video. I'm Crypto Brando. Today we're going to be discussing marketing, by far the most important and key factor into selling out your NFT project. We've all seen projects go from 0 to tens of thousands of followers within a matter of weeks, and I'm going to teach you exactly how you guys can replicate the same process, apply it to your project, and reap the same results. So as you probably noticed, I haven't posted a video in a while. This is the first time back on YouTube in a minute. I've really been spending the last few months solely focused on the NFT Academy, really establishing it as the hub for creators and people who want to build in Web3. We've already had 5 projects out of the NFT Academy join the $1 Million Mint Club, meaning they minted over $1 million and sold out. So amazing, congrats to them. It's great seeing people actually take the value that they hear from us and apply them to their project and reap great results and build amazing projects, build amazing communities. But now I'm back and I plan on doing a YouTube video here pretty consistently. So definitely smash the like and subscribe button if you get value out of this video, and stay tuned for more content. We've all heard the saying, if you build it, they will come. And I'm sorry to inform you, but that is just not the case. Marketing by far is the only way where you're going to get the eyes, the brand awareness, the reach, and the social proof, and enough credibility to get people to invest into your project. Now, this is not going to be some watered down marketing video. We're going to dive right into it. So if you need to rewatch this, go ahead. Now, marketing by far is the most important part of selling out an NFT project. People aren't just going to flock to your project right when you create a Twitter. You are going to have to strategically put in place marketing campaigns and efforts in a way to create the brand awareness, get the eyes and the hype and momentum, and build your audience for your project. Now, coming up with ideas for marketing is fairly simple, but the difficult part and the frustration set in when it comes to actually executing on the marketing. That's where people get frustrated. They don't see results. They do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, and it never happens. And they don't see the growth that they need to actually build a successful project. Now, it's also important to understand that as a founder of your project, I get the question all the time, can I hire just an agency or someone to just do all the marketing? And here's my answer is no. The people reaching out to you are going to be the last people you really want doing the marketing for your projects. The ones that actually know what they're doing and are selling out projects left and right typically are never the ones that come to you to offer their service. So, and as a founder, you're the one with the vision. You're the one with the goal behind your project. You're the only one that can see where you want it to go. So if you're marketing and really acting as the voice and the brand behind your project, it needs to be you, the founder, coming up with ideas, really putting things into place. Now, you can definitely hire people who know what they're doing on the marketing side to execute, but as a founder, these are fundamentals that you need to understand to sell out a project. So because executing is so difficult, you need to understand that marketing is a science. It's all about being as detailed as possible, especially when building a project. And there's so many different moving parts like development and community and so many different things to manage. You don't want to just be blatantly putting out tweets and just coming up with random marketing strategies on the fly. It needs to be strategically planned out day after day, exactly what you're posting, what campaign you're running, what narrative you are pushing behind your project, what information you're revealing about your project. It needs to be strategically placed and scheduled. So we're going to talk about this as well as some marketing strategies and ideas that you guys can implement, and how to really set up that foundation and that strategy to see good results and actually grow your project to tens of thousands of followers. Now, the first thing right off the bat is to make sure that you have good project fundamentals. You have solid art, you have great utility, strong utility that people would actually want to take part in, and you have the storyline and messaging and brand of your project pretty established. You know exactly what you're doing, you know your mission, you know your values, you know exactly why people are going to want to purchase your NFT and join your community and be a part of your project. Now, once you understand the main core details about your project, that's when the marketing starts. The first thing you need to understand is the difference between marketing in Web 2 and Web 3, and really what the NFT audience is like, understanding really the culture and the community that is built within the space and how to effectively tap into it. The size of the overall market is extremely small. I think there's right around 1.5, 1.6 million people that are actually trading NFTs. So right off the bat, you're already tapping into such a small audience. The one thing that I say, which is very different from Web2 marketing, is broad is better. Don't go too niche down because this audience is already niched as it is. The NFT space and the crypto space is already pretty small, tight-knit community. And you don't want to niche down any further. Let's just say you're tapping into a specific niche in Web2. Web2 is very different. You look at every major company, they start very niched and they grow and they expand. But with NFTs, if you tap into an already niched audience, which is the NFT space, and then you niche it down even further into like a sub niche, now your audience size is so small, it'll make it way more difficult for you to actually market your project. You'll spend more money, spend more time because your audience is very niche down. It just makes things increasingly difficult. So when it comes to NFTs and you're building the utility, you're coming up with your idea for your project, make sure you're targeting a very broad audience. Really ideally the entire space. So at the end of the day, broad is better in Web3. The next thing to understand is just how to leverage the market hype. What is hot in the market right now? Leveraging organic market advantages to help propel your marketing, whether it's art, whether it's utility that is really hot in the market and is really attracting a lot of attention. You want to be able to take those things and apply them to your project. It will help you a lot when it comes to growing an audience and getting people's interest really, really quickly. So definitely leverage market advantages. Now, something very different in Web3 compared to Web2 businesses and brands is the whole work very slow, take your time, be very patient does not work very effectively in the NFT space. And let me tell you why. You want to work as fast as possible because this space is moving very, very quickly. Market interest, what's hot right now might not have the market interest 2 weeks from now. The space shifts very quickly. The interest in types of projects change dramatically. And a lot of that is due to the fact that NFTs are a new market. It's going to constantly adjust. It's going to constantly evolve. And if you're taking too much time building out your project, what might be hype right now, by the time you're ready to mint, may have no hype at all, which could completely destroy your project because this market is already so small and a lot of it is built off of hype and momentum. So you need to understand moving quickly is the key, but at the same time, you need to establish a good foundation. That's why it's so important to build a big team because there's so many moving parts. You need to move as effective and as quickly as possible, or you could miss out on the meta and your project may not be as relevant in the future. Now, moving fast also helps with maintaining and building hype and momentum, which is the biggest driving factor in this space. You see a ton of hype, a lot of people just FOMOing into projects. And at the same time, as a project creator, you do want to tap into those specific traits, right? So momentum and hype is huge, and moving quickly does help with that, because if you look at building momentum and hype, building it is easy, and creating it and sparking that initial hype and that initial FOMO is fairly simple. Now, maintaining that is way more difficult. That's also why I say move quickly, because despite popular opinion, the faster that you move, a lot of these projects that move really quickly right when they hit the market are the ones that sell out immediately fast, because they spent time, they did all the marketing, they reached the correct amount of people. They just did it very quickly, very effectively, brought in all the hype, all the momentum. People were FOMOing in, getting emotional, right? Because they drove so much curiosity, so much interest so effectively that, people without even realizing it are willing to purchase as much as they possibly can. And that's kind of the perception that you're trying to create with your project. Let's do a quick recap here. Number one, understand the NFT space is small, so targeting broad is better. Next, make sure you guys are leveraging just current market advantages, ways to grow and tap into all the hype and what is really hot right now. It will really dramatically help you on the marketing side. Next, move quickly and focus on driving hype and momentum. Now that you guys kind of understand your audience, I definitely say spend more time really deep diving, trade some NFTs, get really involved into projects, understand your consumer, the audience that you're targeting from the inside out, what they're looking for. It really makes your marketing more effective. And I know I say this a lot, but the goal with marketing is to sell without selling. You want to make it feel like it was their idea in the first place to want to get involved in this project. Now, the way to do it is obviously FOMO, hype, momentum. The best way to spark that initial traction is by generating curiosity, getting them to ask questions, because where are they going to be asking questions about your project? Twitter, Discord, other people are going to see it. It makes it look, at the same time, a lot more engaging when people are asking questions, really showing an interest in your project. And the goal is to sell without selling. So you need to frame your project and present it in a way, and your messaging needs to be on point, to a point where you're not really trying to sell. People are just getting really excited. They think it's their idea and they want to invest everything into this project. That is your goal. Now, if you don't come from a marketing background, obviously coming up with campaigns and ideas and then making sure that they work or that they're going to be effective is definitely a struggle. And you end up spending a lot of time in kind of like this paralysis mode where you don't know if your ideas are going to work, and you kind of just sit there and you tweak your ideas and you don't make any progress. You just stay busy. Now, the easiest and most effective way to get past this kind of paralysis mode when it comes to marketing is to copy what works. Do what works. Don't feel like you have to create something new or reinvent the wheel. Just copy what works, make minor adjustments and tweaks to make it work for your project, and then leverage it. Now it's no longer a guessing game. You're just running marketing strategies that have been proven to, be effective and really substantially grow an audience. And now the easiest way to find that is to, number one, sit down and find like 2 to 3 different projects that are similar to yours in a sense, whether it might be audience or whether it may be, a similar kind of marketing approach, similar utility, something that you want to follow. Find about 2 or 3 successful projects within a specific time frame, obviously, that have sold out either recently or are about to mint, but they have a ton of hype, a ton of momentum, and analyze these 2 or 3 projects. And when I mean analyze, I mean in detail. Go back through their first tweets, their first announcements in the Discord, date everything, literally strategically try to figure out, okay, these were the types of campaigns that all these people ran. Here are the tweets, collabs, influencers. Really study them and get to a point where you understand the ins and outs of the marketing that they did on their project. Everything's written out. Now sit down and circle marketing strategies that were similar, that, the same marketing campaigns that all these projects ran, circle them. And if they ran all the same types of campaigns, they probably did it because it works and it's no longer a guessing game. And then if they ran that same campaign, maybe changed a few things like what was visual, the art, the graphic, the video, maybe the copy, call to action, but it's the same campaign being ran over and over and over again, it goes to show that they were doing that. They're spending the time to do it because it worked, they saw results, and it was effective. Now, once you do this, you'll come up with about, a dozen different marketing strategies and things that you can do. And now it's a matter of tackling them one by one. It's no longer a guessing game. You know that these strategies work because you effectively went through all of these projects, reverse engineered them, and understood the underlying marketing concepts and factors and strategies and tactics that played a role into selling out their project and getting it to a place where it needed to be. Now, something to understand is the mental game behind marketing. A lot of people jump into it and they're like, how quickly can I get things done? And how quickly can I go through this list of 12 different marketing strategies that I have? And what ends up happening is it's a terrible mindset to get into because you do it one time, you're like, oh, didn't work, move on to the next. And you're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. The most effective way to get into marketing, because you have to understand this is a science, it's about being as detailed as possible, planning everything out to a T, and to not go into it with a mindset of how quickly can I get this done, but go into it with how effective can I make every single campaign. And that means you need to test. There's a question that every single one of you should ask yourself, and I feel like a lot of people skip this step. Maybe it's just not too important to them, but the question is, what makes your project different from every other project dropping right now? And it's important to understand this, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy or substantial. Obviously, you need to leverage some of the organic, market interests right now, apply them to your project, but what makes you different? And really understanding that, and it's not just a matter of utility, but it could be the approach, the brand consistency, your messaging, your story. There's a lot of different factors that can create a really good angle for you to enter the market in, where it almost puts you in a position where people perceive your project as something that really drives their curiosity and gets them interested. After, you build out your marketing strategies, probably even prior to, what is your angle? What's that unique factor that separates you from all these other projects and makes it easy for people to decide this is a project that I want to invest in? Now that you have strategies in place, you need to find catalysts and driving forces behind, your tweet to actually get the reach that it needs and reach the amount of people in the space that you need to target to grow your project. If you have 0 followers and you start making tweets with no catalyst whatsoever, you're not going to grow very fast. These catalysts could be influencers, they could be project collabs, they could be, you know, partnerships. Now, right off the bat, everyone's like influencers. They think of all these top influencers that have tens of thousands of followers, and, you know, I need them on my project. Now, take a step back, and what do they get out of, you know, talking about your project? Nothing. Let's just say you flipped roles and you were that influencer. You had hundreds of thousands of people interested, listening to you. You know, you really had a brand developed, and some project, you know, maybe like what you have right now, doesn't have a ton of followers, reaches out to you to do some sort of collab. Why would you be interested? There's no benefit in that whatsoever, except for, you know, the project founder. So I like to take the stair-step approach. You need to work your way up. You need to start with smaller influencers first, smaller projects, do collaborations, get that message out there, and work your way up. Now, for smaller influencers, I mean, definitely influencers that have YouTube channels. That really just shows me that they actually have leverage and pull in persuading people to take specific actions, right? Which is extremely important if you're trying to sell out a project. You want to make sure you're tapping into a strong audience. So making sure they have a YouTube channel, maybe it's 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers. Maybe they have, you know, 10,000 on Twitter. These are smaller influencers. They probably don't get hit up as much, and it's a lot easier to get your foot in the door. And so you want to start with them and work your way up. Something to understand about this space is you may sit back and feel overwhelmed right now. Oh my God, there's so many things going on, so many different marketing strategies and tactics and ideas that I have. And if you really break it down, you don't have to have this incredibly successful campaign come out of all of these 12 different strategies and ideas. At the end of the day, you really only need 2 or 3 major, like very successful marketing campaigns to get your project to a position where you have, you know, 10,000 plus on Twitter. You've got thousands of people in your Discord, and now you're in a position where projects are reaching out to you for collaborations. Other, you know, influencers want to benefit their community with whitelist spots, and they want to get plugged in with you and your project and what you've built. So don't think of it as, oh my God, I have to launch like 12 or 20 different marketing campaigns that are all successful. At the end of the day, you only need to test out a few, really dial them in, make sure that they work, make sure that they're effective, they're getting you the growth that you need, and then just rinse and repeat that entire process. A lot of people like to overcomplicate the marketing side, but if you really break it down and think of it like that, it makes things a little bit easier. The next thing I want to talk about is funnels. And I like to break down marketing into funnels. So you have like top of the funnel, you've got middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. Top of the funnel marketing is really what we've been talking about, like Twitter, social media, growing those channels, getting that reach out there, targeting a cold audience, which is people who don't know about your project, your brand, anything about you, and you're really just trying to capture their attention. Now, what people forget about is the middle and the bottom of the funnel, which are just as important. You can get all the numbers in the world, get as many people to follow you, but when they join the Discord or they take that next step or they want to learn what that next step is, and that's not in place, then you end up just getting a ton of numbers. And you see this all the time in the space where you have projects that have tens of thousands of followers and, you know, tens of thousands of people in their Discord, and they only sell out like 10% of their supply because they were playing a numbers game and there really wasn't that much engagement and authentic people that wanted to invest in their project. A lot of that is because they didn't have the rest of their funnel built out. They were just focused on playing the numbers game, getting as many people to follow them as possible, but not actually converting them and really focus on the most important thing, which number one is understanding your audience and getting people who want to invest in your project. And number two is maintaining that hype, that drive, that momentum, that FOMO. You know, these are incentives that need to be put in place further along your funnel process. After someone follows you on Twitter, what's that next step? How do you get them even more reeled in? Again, I like taking that fishing approach. You slowly reel them in. And that's the whole point of this, is to create a journey that people can tap into. First, they see it on your Twitter, then they're in their Discord. Now, what are the incentives in place in the back end of your funnel to keep people excited, keep people curious? But these are very important, you know, pieces and strategies that go into actually building a successful project. It's not just marketing on the front end, but it's really putting in place these incentives and even getting your community to want to help you market, help you with the brand awareness, you know, almost in a case where they're pumping their own bag. You know, how can you empower your community? How can you set up these strategies further down in your funnel? And again, don't play the guessing game. Just go look at what some of these other successful projects did and put in place further down in their funnel process to maintain that hype, to nurture it, to curate it, to really build a solid community. I highly recommend every single one of you build out a marketing calendar. Now, let's just say you're in the NFT Academy, you're following the 6-week fast track program, which is start to finish, build a project every step of the way within 6 weeks. If you're following that process and you're in the academy, you've heard me say this a lot, but focus on working in 2-week spurts. Obviously understand what you're doing the following weeks after, but a lot of things change pretty quickly in the market. So you don't want to put a bunch of stuff in place for like an entire month or like 6 weeks because a lot of things can change, right? You want to focus on 2-week spurts. So build out a marketing plan that is so strategic, detailed. I mean, dates, times, who's making these posts, who's announcing this in the Discord, and focus on building out an entire schedule for 2 weeks, focused on the top of your funnel, middle of your funnel, bottom of your funnel. What do people do when they get in the Discord? What do people do after they've learned a lot of the underlying concepts of the project? They understand it. What's the next step? Is that empowering them to help you with the marketing? Build out that entire process and build out a very detailed schedule and strategy that your whole team is behind, and you know exactly what you're doing every single day. This will help you save a lot of time. It's way more effective. And at the same time, it makes it a lot easier to go back and analyze some of these campaigns that you did, see the results, figure out how you can tweak them, make them better, make them more effective, and then do it again. A very important piece to understand is testing. How to properly test when you are marketing and building campaigns, coming up with ideas for your project. Now, marketing, simply stated, is obviously spending money doing things that you need to collect data, right? When you retrieve that data, it ultimately comes down to who can analyze this data better and make better changes, minor tweaks to make this campaign even more effective. So testing is extremely important. And when I say that, let's just say, for example, you make a tweet, you've got a really cool trailer, video graphic, which, by the way, visual is the way to go in this space. Anything that you tweet, that you put out there publicly, that you have a catalyst behind, that you want to attract people's attention, needs to be visual. Videos are great. They work as great scroll stoppers. So as someone's scrolling through Twitter, you know, something catches their attention and gets them to take the next step. Let's just say you have a tweet, you know, you've got a trailer, you've got a good call to action. The goal is to get people to follow you, you know, whatever that might be. And now you analyze the results. Okay, what could I have done to make this better? Do I need a more intriguing 5-second scroll stopper to really stop people in their tracks? Do I need better copy? What's a good line to get people curious, get people to ask questions? Because when they ask questions, they're going to ask them in Discord. They're going to ask them on Twitter. That's going to get social proof. That's going to make your Discord look like it's more active, like people really want to know what's coming next. There are a lot of little things, but really changing one variable at a time, whether that be your creative, whether that be your copy, you know, whether that be the catalyst that you're using. But pick and try, you know, different variations of things to really figure out what works best. Once you do that, now it's just a matter of replicating that and getting those same results a couple of times. Now you position your project in a place where marketing is much easier. And now people are reaching out to you. You know, collabs are just coming to you every single day. You've got influencers figuring out how they can tap in and get their audience involved in your project because they see, you know, a lot of hype, a lot of momentum. And at the same time, good, strong utility and something that is there long term. So these are very important core concepts to understand on the marketing side. You know, don't create something new, target a very broad audience, copy what works, come up with a really good testing strategy in a way to, you know, optimize every single campaign that you're putting out there. Don't think about doing things as quickly as possible, but think about how can I make this campaign as effective as possible. Don't be in a position where you're just tweeting random stuff. You know, there's no consistency. There's no journey that you're taking your consumers on. You know, it's just a matter of just putting content out there. That's just not an effective way to do it. And I'm going to leave you guys with something, and just a good example to kind of take a look at with when you look at Web 2 and Web 3 differences when it comes to marketing. When you look at Web 2, you know, most companies will just build a website. They'll slap all the details about their company on the site and, you know, just put their website out to the public. Now, that is just a terrible method and a bad way of doing things when it comes to Web 3, because the whole goal is to drive hype, drive FOMO, drive curiosity, right? Curiosity being the main factor. Now, if someone can just go to your website and see everything about your project, now you're no longer controlling that narrative, controlling the perception around your project. You're allowing people to decide whether or not they want to just buy or invest in your project or not. And if they don't, they'll leave and they won't look twice, right? And so the goal is to not just put everything out there, but strategically come up with a way And this all comes down to branding, your messaging, your story. Come up with a way to take all the information about your project and deliver it to your audience over the course of a period of time. Don't just display your mint price or supply and all these details about what's coming right off the bat. Keep people guessing, because when you have people guessing, you keep them curious, you keep them coming back to want more, to learn more, to hear more. You get them engaged inside, chatting, messaging, which if someone, then shows up in the Discord and they see all these people asking questions, it creates that perception. There's some hype around this project. I might be in on it early. These are all the goals that you're trying to achieve. And one last thing to understand is when you guys are building out campaigns, tweets, whatever it might be, everything funnels into the next thing. It's really important to understand that every campaign that you run should funnel into the next part of your storyline. If you have an announcement or more details about your project, that announcement should funnel into the next announcement that's going to come in a matter of days. Everything works together. Everything is seamless. Like, let's just say I spark a crazy incentive inside of my Discord, get people active, get people excited. At the same time, I'm going to run a major, top of the funnel campaign with a big catalyst to drive new people into the Discord. And right when they get in there, they see all these people chatting, all these people talking. It looks like there's just so much excitement. And at the same time, you are creating all that excitement, FOMO, rebuilding that momentum, that hype within your project. But now people who are new, who just came from the top of your funnel, are now immediately driven towards the project because they see all this hype, they see all this momentum. Everything at the end of the day is perception. And your goal is to put a marketing plan in place that strategically can control your consumer's journey, what they hear, what they think, what they see about your project. Everything at the end of the day is perception. Marketing is a science, and it needs to be done very detailed and scheduled. So I know this is a lot, and we're going to talk about even more marketing videos here in the upcoming future. I really want to focus on marketing. I know it's one of the most important steps, and there's not a lot of people talking about how to successfully market in Web3. I see a lot of good marketers come from Web2 and try to tap into the Web3 space, and it's just not the same. And so obviously with the dozens of projects, successful projects that we've advised on, created, been a part of on the marketing and development side, we have quite a bit of experience when it comes to selling out projects, and I want to provide that same value with you guys. Make sure we talk about this all the time within the NFT Academy. If you are not in the NFT Academy, I highly recommend you just join even the free Discord, network, meet other people trying to create in the space. At the end of the day, your network is your net worth. So meeting the right people will open up you to new ideas, new opportunities. It's a really great hub. And at the same time, we talk a ton about marketing. It's one of the major points that we discuss within the Academy. So if you're not in there, definitely join. We will have a future marketing video coming out here shortly, and possibly a video with one of the $5 million Mint Club members that came out of the Academy, exactly what they learned, the marketing, the strategies that they had to put in place to successfully sell out their project, even in a time like this. We just had a $1 million Mint Club member the other week in the deep of the bear market, and the fact that it can still be done effectively as long as you know what you're doing on the marketing side. It is a key factor between selling out your project and not selling out your project. So hopefully you guys learned a lot, got a lot of value out of this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and definitely share this video if you got some good value out of it. But I will see you guys in the next video.